This week, we talk about the future of Metroid Prime Remasters, $70 Nintendo games, and Game Pass potentially hurting game sales. Well, let's just go ahead, together, as a people, and take it out! And welcome to another sensational Sunday. I'm Mike, and I'm back to talk about the news that relates to video games. And last week we reveled in the excitement of Nintendo stealth releasing the Metroid Prime Remaster, but there were two other Metroid Prime games. So what about those? So this was reported by Jeff Grubb of Giant Bomb. It's rumored that the next two Prime games are also on the way to the Switch with updated controls, but will not likely get the extensive graphical rework that the original game did. After seeing how much work they put into the remaster and considering they're still presumably working on Metroid Prime 4, this makes sense. However, it would be kind of weird to have like a very nice looking remaster of the first game and then have its two sequels not be up to snuff from a graphical standpoint. But in my opinion, if this is true, they'll probably sell them at a discounted price, maybe like 20 each, or just sell them together in a bundle for 40, especially if they're not going to do as much work as they did with the original game. But we'll have to see how it shakes out for the other legacy Metroid Prime games as they make their way to the Switch. And I'm sure the original creators of those games will be paying close attention because some of them were not happy about a glaring omission in Metroid Prime Remaster. So former senior gameplay engineer for Retro Studios, Zoid Kirsch, and former tech lead Jack Matthews both worked on the original game. Initially, Kirsch pointed out on Twitter how he felt let down because they didn't include the names of the staff that worked on the original game. They basically just put a spot in the credits that said based on the work of the original Prime, original Nintendo GameCube and Wii versions, development staff. Matthews would then go on to say how it was a travesty not just for himself, which he admits most of his code was probably replaced, but the people whose work was still present in the remaster. This article from IGN also points out the same thing happened with other remasters, including Shadow of the Colossus and the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. And yeah, it feels kind of lazy to leave out the original developers from the credits. I mean, the credits are already like 6 hours long anyway, so I don't feel like it would have been that difficult to either include the people who worked on the original game or just add the original game credits after the based on the work of Metroid Prime development staff part. Now, Nintendo or Retro Studios haven't responded to the criticism, at least publicly, but come on, just give the devs their proper credit. You might need a few extra credits in order to purchase Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom because it's following the trend of Xbox Series and PS5 and it's releasing at $70. Now, I know what you're asking, will this be the new price norm for Nintendo? Well, they've clarified that no, this will not be the new price for first-party Switch releases. According to Nintendo, prices will be handled on a case-by-case basis. Tears of the Kingdom will also be the largest first-party title as far as space at 18.2 gigabytes, so it's possible that this could be due to an increase in cartridge price, or it could be based on how much content they put in the game. Either way, I think the game will probably sell super well, just like Breath of the Wild did. The IGN article also points out that Pikmin 4 and Bayonetta Origins are still listed for $60, so this seems like a one-off for now, but I think this also allows Nintendo to experiment with this price before they move on to their next-gen system, and I would expect to see it again on some of their future AAA first-party releases. I think this is probably an indication of what game pricing will look like on Nintendo's next system, whatever it is at this point. But you know where game pricing doesn't matter? On Game Pass, and that's what we're talking about in our final story. Now, there's been some speculation going around recently that Game Pass may actually hurt game sales. Liars. They're all liars. Now, who reported this anyway? I'm about to go in on them. It looks like it was Microsoft. Now, this information came to light due to Microsoft's attempt to convince the Competition and Markets Authority in the UK that they should be allowed to purchase Activision Blizzard. So essentially, Microsoft's argument states that adding games to Game Pass usually leads to a decrease in the games sold. This is likely related to Call of Duty because this has been the big focus on the deal's scrutiny, especially from Sony, so I could see them trying to make an argument that Call of Duty being on Xbox Game Pass would actually decrease sales for the Xbox version of the game and not give them an advantage by owning it from a revenue standpoint. Now, realistically, yes, it would probably decrease the sales of the Xbox version, but it would probably increase their subscriptions to Game Pass, which would be more beneficial in the long term for them. Either way, Microsoft provided a comment to GameSpot about the statements made to the CMA, and essentially they said that they structure their deal with developers on a case-by-case basis, so that way it makes sense for them to want to bring their games to Game Pass from a financial standpoint, and in some cases that includes them paying for development of the game, even if it's released on other platforms. So this is basically them trying to convince the regulators that having Activision's games on Game Pass will not somehow put them at an unfair advantage. And I'm going to take advantage of some sleep, but let me know what you think down below. Do you think Retro should fully remaster the remaining Metroid Prime games? Do you think they should credit the original developers in the remaster? And do you think $70 is too much for a Switch game? And also, are you less likely to buy a game when it's on Game Pass? Again, let me know down below, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification to get notified when I drop a video or a live stream. I always do at least 2 things at the same time.